Now, I've got a question for both of you. I'll start with yourself, Eddie, if you don't mind. Well, you actually alluded to it. You said we're the second best team in the world. We're knocking on the door as being the best team in the world. So Ireland right now are not the best team in the world, is what you're saying?
Well, it's hard to say that we are the best team in the world. I mean, we beat New Zealand last week, but one swallow doesn't make a summer. You know, you feel realistic about it. They're over their rankings over the last, always have been the number one team in the world. That doesn't mean, though, that if we played them again next Saturday, we wouldn't beat them again. You know, over 80 minutes, we're right in the ballpark. There was times when we played New Zealand that we had to play out of our skins, and they had to play poorly to give us any chance of beating them. We're at a point now where we just play well, and they are a little bit off. We get them. They have to play well to beat us. They didn't have to play well to beat us before. They've often not played well and got the other side of us. So I think I don't even set up on Monday and say we are the best team in the world. I think there's too many variables there to say that as well. They're at the end of a season. They're pretty beaten up. They're tired. Our players are rested and fresh. We're the early part of our season. Some guys have played very little rugby really, except at the top end when they needed to. So all that's part of a factor. But the real test is at the World Cup. It's a level playing field. Everybody arrives there at the same time, and it's a tournament. But I think we're there or thereabouts. I mean, you could argue the toss, but you could be right and you could be wrong about it. But I still think that New Zealand have learned a lot from this tour, particularly against us, and that's probably not a good thing for us. Or anybody else for that matter,
Yeah, that's a fair point. Murray, I think this notion of being the best team in the world is a nice thing for fans, because any Irish person wants to be supporting a national team that is the best at something. But for the players, it was always going to be just more important to know that we can put this team away, and they've done so now twice in 3 years. It's not something that the players are thinking about clearly, that we're the best in the world or we're the second best.
I don't think they'll dwell on it, but I think they are motivated by it. Jack Conan mentioned it again this week. He said at the start of this year, before the Six Nations, we sat down and talked about how we could become the best team in the world. I think it is a clear goal. I think they are increasingly thinking of themselves as we can take on and beat New Zealand anytime they play them now. There's not that lack of confidence there anymore. I think Eddie's completely right, though. I think, well, for me, the All Blacks are still the best team in the world based on what they've done over the last couple of years and based on that consistency of performance. I think in a short-term period, it would have been brilliant to see a 3-test series between the two sides, because right now I think the question is definitely valid and open, and moving forward I think it makes it all the more fun over the next year. The All Blacks go away from this tour, Eddie mentions they've learned loads of things, having come up against England and Ireland's defensive systems, which are so aggressive, and I would say they're probably ahead of what the Southern Hemisphere teams are doing in terms of that aggression, in terms of closing down that decision-making time for a guy like Beauden Barrett, who, if you give decision-making time, will invariably make the right one. I think that I've learned from that. I thought their performance last weekend was just weird. I thought it was a weird performance from them in terms of some of the tactics, in terms of how they actually attacked Ireland. I thought it was slightly uncharacteristic. Steve Hansen on Sunday morning after the game was talking about, we've tried to change the way we play and now we're almost stuck between the old and the new. And you saw them being very direct. One of the moments that stands out for me is, I know they were under pressure, but even still, Ireland's scrum was under pressure. Scott Barrett turns over CJ Stander off the side of it, and Ardy Savea comes back at Ireland on a turnover situation with a full backline outside him. Ireland are coming forward at pace to try and close down that space, but he still doesn't pass the ball. Normally you see them shift straight away to the edge, to the space. Instead he just thunders forwards and carries at them. I thought they missed a lot of opportunities to go probably out to the edge of their attacking kind of shape, and they just didn't really seem to be pursuing that. So I would say there was a lot more tactical experimentation from them, not to diminish Ireland's win, but I think they were trying to get more than a win out of that game against Ireland. I think they were trying to learn a bit more about their team and different ways they can set up to take teams apart. I just thought it was a strange performance from them, and it is kind of worrying almost that they're going to be the ones that learn most from it.